Hello, welcome back to this CSS beginner course, and we're going to talk about fonts. And I said from our previous video that I'll already create this boilerplate, and I've called this the name of this file 03_font.html. So, and I've opened it up on the live server beside it so that you can see what's happening. And I also added this style tag here in the head. So that's all I have done here. So I'll start filling up things so we can talk about fonts, and I'll explain. So I'll start by creating a div container, and inside this I'll create a heading 2 tag, and let's call this again about HTML like the previous video. And then let us create a p tag here, and we'll put some 30 text here. And then I'll create another container, and I'll call this about Python, and I'll create a p tag. I'll give some 40 text here. Okay, and I want to give both of them classes, so I'll give this a class of HTML, and I'll give this a class of Python. So if I save this, you can see what we have here. So these are fonts, and automatically our browser they have some default fonts which it uses once you are using it. It varies depending on your browser. For Chrome, this is the font which is by default provided, but in most of the time, or in most cases, you won't want to use this default font. You want to give in your own fonts. So how do we do that? That's what we want to look at now, and we're going to start this by I'll style the body, the whole body of this. I'll style the body with some default font, so you begin to see the thing change. So for the body, I'll give it a font family. Now the font family tells us, you can see there are a lot of fonts here, and in this case it has 3. Now what it means is that it will first of all pick this one, then if this one is not available in the browser, it will use the next one. If the next one is not available in the browser, it will use this. But in this case, I'm looking for Arial, Helvetica, and sans serif, which is this one here. So if I save, let's look here and see what happens immediately I save. Alright, you can see the font changes automatically. So that is how you can do that using font family. And next, that is for the body, it applies to all of them. And then next, I can do some other things here. Let's say I want to increase the size. I can say font size of the body, and let's say I want all of them to be 18 pixels. We're going to talk about these sizes in later videos, but I just want you to get to see. So now you can see it grows bigger by 18 pixels. Now each of these fonts is 18 pixels of size. And then there's another thing I'll also add line height. I just want you to see some of these things. Line height, let's say 1.6 m. We're going to talk about these units of measurement, pixels, rems, and the rest of them, but let's just see. You can see what line height does. It gives some spacing around it. So that is that. Now the next thing we're going to do, let us target some other things here. I'll create a span inside here. Let's say you want something to be bold, so let's create a span here. And we want this word there to be bold. So how do we target it? So let's put it here. So if I want to target this, I'll start from here. It is inside the class, and the name of the class is HTML. And remember, we start a class using .html, and then it is inside the paragraph, this paragraph P, and we want to target this span. So that is how we can target it. So we can do that by, if we want to make this particular one bold now, which is inside this, we are going to use the property which is called font weight. So font weight bold. So if I save this, bold, sorry. So if I save this, I think it's around here. So if I save this, you see it becomes bold. If I want all of this to become bold, I just have to cut this and paste inside of here like so, and you can see all of them, they are now bold. That is another font attribute, font property we we are introducing us to in this course. And then let's say in this other one, we want to make this one italic. So I'll have to put it in another span. I'll copy these two. I want to make italic, and I'll paste here. So if we want to make italic, let's target that it is inside the class of Python. Remember, you should give your class anything, but it should be something you should know. So and the dot is used to represent a class. If it were an ID, okay, let me use an ID in this case. Now if I'm using an ID, instead of using a dot, I'm going to use the pound symbol, and I have this. Then it is inside the paragraph, and I want to target the span, and that's it. So I want to make it italic. So what we're going to use is called font style. So italic, you can see there are some other things we have here, but we want this particular one. So if I save this now, you can see it's now italic. That's how you can do that in this case. So these are fonts which are available, but then there are some other fonts which are provided to us by Google, and we want to use them. So what we are going to do now is we're going to come to Google, and I'll take this out so we can see. We want to use some fonts that are available for us online. So what you should search for is Google Font, and you should come here. This one requires you to be online for it to work, so you should take note of that. And then there are lots of fonts which are available on Google, which you can scroll through them to find out more. Okay, I think I'm looking. There is one I always use, which is Roberto, and lots of people use it, Roberto font. So how do you select a font you want to use? You have to just click on it, and then when you click on it, you click on this here, select font, and then it comes here for you. Now you make this bigger, and you copy this. And you can either use this standard method or the import method, but I prefer this standard method. You just copy this, and then you come back to what you have here, and you add what you've copied in the header. Take note of that. It should be added in the header. So if I should add it here in the header and save it, I'll show us something now. And then I want to use that font, so I'll come here, copy the font family. Let's say I want to use it for because this already applies to all the, but let's say I just want to use it for this one. So I'll take up that class, which is .html, and I'll pass in that fonts family. You can see, I don't know if it changed. Let me comment this out so you can see this properly. There is a different way you comment on CSS, which is different from that of HTML. So the commenting in CSS looks like this, unlike the other one which showed for HTML. So you can see the difference here. Let me pick something else which is quite different so that you see it properly. So instead of this font, I'll go back. Let's pick another font. I saw something that would stand out. Okay, this one, Docdo. So let's say I want this one. I'll just click on this, and now two families are selected, but I need only one. So I'll remove this one, and I'll pick this up. I have to copy this and come here, and I'll paste in the header. Take note of that, very important. I'll paste in the header, and then I'll use this now as the font family. Let me apply that to just the other one. So if I should add this font family here and save, you can see it's applied there, but it has to be online. If you're not online, this is not going to work. So that is how you can import fonts from Google. And as we go further, we are going to still look at some of the font attributes, and we're going to use most of them. So just as we're using these things and picking them one after the other, it will get to a point where I will combine all of them and see how it works. So that's that for this video.